3 years ago, I cheated on my wife with my producer.
People ask me, like, do you forgive Ned? I mean, the answer is no. Absolutely not. How can you forgive somebody for lying to you, for cheating on you? No. No.
Ladies and gentlemen, today you're gonna get real uncomfortable. If you're somebody who doesn't enjoy awkward conversations or watching people confront each other, today's video will be a personal hell for you. But you already clicked on it, you're here, and you might as well stick it out together with me. One of the last things holding this country together, the glue to this absolute macaroni of a project of a country we call the United States, besides our mutual hatred of the British, is our collective agreement that podcasting equipment should be illegal in 2025 for the average person. For years, this has been a problem. The fact that anybody can walk to their local Walmart or Best Buy and buy a microphone for a couple bucks should be a national security issue.
It became a massive public scandal that caused a lot of pain to a lot of people. I know that I represented myself as a kind of wife guy.
And just like anything where there's a relatively low entry barrier, once it's proven and people realize, yeah, you can make millions of dollars off of this, now everybody wants to try it. And this leads to a lot of people doing podcasting when they have absolutely no desire to do it or even try at it. And this leads to a lot of shitty, terrible podcasts. But even that being the case, even though there are a sea of shitty podcasts to go through, what we're looking at today is so uniquely shitty that I think it's almost hard to believe that it's real. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of the Try Guys before. If you haven't, it's a long-standing YouTube channel, and I'm pretty sure they're an offshoot of BuzzFeed, and it's a bunch of guys that do exactly what the title suggests. They try things. Now, one guy took that a little bit too far. And a few years ago, one of the Try Guys, Ned Fulmer, was exposed for cheating on his wife. It was a huge deal because his entire image on the internet was basically being a stand-up guy who loves his wife and, is a simple... So when this came out, it was kind of a shit show.
Ned and his wife Ariel released some comments saying that they were working on their marriage behind the scenes.
And that was basically it until Ned Fulmer, the guy who cheated on his wife, announced that he was starting his own podcast called Rock Bottom. And the name kind of suggests he interviews people who have gone through low points in their life and made it out to the other side, which is fine. But to an extent, it's kind of silly. It's not something I would ever watch. And I don't think it's anything that most people would watch, but I haven't watched anything that he's been a part of to begin with. The reason we're talking about this today is the first episode of the podcast is with his wife, and holy shit, is it uncomfortable. And the reason why we're talking about this today is because the first episode of this podcast is with his wife, and holy shit, is this shit uncomfortable. Now, we're not going to watch this entire thing because it's over an hour long, but I think there's some moments in this podcast that are definitely worth talking about for a lot of different reasons. So I'm not going to try to preface anything. It's a little bit too much to go over all the context. So let's just get into it because there's a lot of fucking shit to go over. Yeah. Y'all did not have to do this. By the way, the ominous hum that you hear in the background, yeah, that never goes away. I don't know if it was added in post, try to get people to click off this video before they got through the entire thing, but it definitely adds to the ambience. Alright, I'm gonna say something right off the bat that's probably gonna immediately piss off like half the people watching this video, but you know me, I gotta speak my truth. This is not necessary at all. Nobody should give a fuck watching this. Am I crazy for thinking that? I think I have a different perspective because, like what I talked about before, I've dealt with crazy parasocial shit. But in my personal, humbled opinion, nobody should be giving a fuck about these people's relationship 3 years later. Look, man, I get it. You watch a guy every day, you trust him, you think he's a good guy, and you end up finding that he cheated on his wife and he's a piece of shit. I understand being upset about that. I understand that being a moment, but
3 years later, holy shit, why do we care? There's nothing against these people. Like, I'm sure they're making really good money doing this. Like, I understand that's probably the reason why they're doing this, but like, no, this is not necessary whatsoever. Nobody should care about this in a real way. Am I losing you guys already? Is that crazy to say? I don't know. I'm not trying to like attack anyone for what they're interested in, but I feel like it's important to step back and realize that things are parasocial without you even realizing it. Like, if you were sitting in a restaurant and you heard about a random person getting cheated on by their husband, would you care about that for 3 years enough to watch a podcast about what happened? That's literally what's happening here, except you have a closer connection to that person in the restaurant because at least you were in the same room as them.
Walk up to somebody that I want to be friends with at like preschool and have to start every conversation with like, my personal life is a dumpster fire, as I'm sure you know, but also, do you want to be friends with me? You know, like, I don't want to go about my life starting friendships like that.
Yeah, I remember I have met some people, like made new friends or kind of introduced myself to strangers. It's like, oh, let's exchange Instagrams. I'm like, well,
right?
Here's mine, but couple of caveats. One, I have a lot more followers than you might expect. Two, all of this is pretty outdated. And three, don't Google me.
Don't Google me.
Don't Google me.
You
Just
probably don't want to Google me.
Get to know me first. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
You don't want to be just sort of seen as the sum of your mistakes for me or the sum of your past for you.
Okay, so I'm not in these people's personal lives, so I'm not going to speak on them personally, but I don't see how this is going to help at all. Like, if they're genuinely having problems making friends, because one of the most common reasons for divorce to happened, and that's why they got divorced, I don't see why other people misunderstand that or find that strange. If they're genuinely having problems making friends, because one of the most common reasons for divorce happened, and that's why they got divorced, that's really strange to me. That's something I've never really considered. And if that's something they're actually going through, that's insane to me. People are fucking weird. But I find it really weird how Ned's approaching this one. And I feel like he does this a lot throughout the podcast, where he sort of seems to think that what he's saying is relatable to his wife or his ex-wife. I think they're still married, but they're not like together, which makes total sense for this to be a thing because this is a huge source of stress for Ariel. She had like no say in this. She had no control. She was the one cheated on. Ned is the guy who did all the fucking cheating. And he's like, oh, please don't Google me because you're going to realize that I'm a piece of shit. These are not all the same things, brother.
Ask me, like, do you forgive Ned for what he did? And I mean, the answer is no, absolutely not. How can you forgive somebody for lying to you, for cheating on you? No, fuck no. I don't even.
This is not something that should have made it to the internet. I sincerely would like to know the conversation that led to this being a thing because I don't get it. Like, seriously, if you wanted to do your fans a service and tell everybody like what's going on, Instagram post with a long caption saying, yeah, we're not together anymore, we're co-parenting, I don't forgive Ned, we're moving on. Like, that's it. You know what I mean? I almost feel like this is the result of like unrealistic expectations of both sides of this relationship from like the audience and these two. Like what I was saying earlier, I'm gonna stand by it. I don't think anybody should care that much about this where these two people need to stand. I don't think anybody should care this much about this where these two need to sit down and reopen all of this shit. Like, that's probably a lot of it that hasn't been closed yet. But like what you say, your personal life's a shit show and you're trying to move on past this and you don't want everything to be about this. So why the hell are you releasing a podcast episode about this? I mean, is that crazy? Am I just missing something? I'm just kind of confused, like, how we all got here.
What was that moment like when everything changed for you?
Awful, obviously. it was kind of surreal. You know, I thought to myself, like, what would somebody who's been cheated on, like, what would somebody in a movie do?
Really?
You know, I don't know. I wasn't thinking like of a specific movie or something like that. I was thinking like, what would, like, what do people do in this situation? You know, like, I wasn't thinking I wasn't thinking for myself. I was thinking like, what do I do next?
Yeah, you're really bringing in some heaters with these dog shit questions. I think my biggest confusion here is like this is clearly not rehearsed. I don't even think there's an outline to this. Sure, I guess I could kind of understand wanting to be able to kind of explain all of this to your fans. It's a big part of your life. I mean, it's not like... Sure, I guess I could kind of understand wanting to be able to kind of explain all of this to your fans. It's a big part of your life. I mean, it's not like... But I mean, this is kind of like we're watching a couple's counseling session. You really needed your wife's life to fall apart in front of you for you to realize that you're the one that did it. So this is sort of an example of what I was talking about earlier. Ariel's talking about a really real thing. A thing that happens all the time when stuff like this gets exposed to the public. When men cheat, a lot of people's knee-jerk reaction is like, okay, what did the wife do? Was she not fulfilling him? Was she being a bad wife? But what did she do to make him do all this? And Ariel really expresses that by saying, how do you feel that you basically cursed me for the rest of my life now that there's a certain percentage of people that whenever they hear about this happening, they're going to think it's her fault? She asked that, and he doesn't basically even acknowledge it. He just goes, oh, well, I think it's kind of unfair that society does that. Doesn't fucking matter. Society doesn't do that. No shit. It's unfair.
I think there was a lot of sort of delusions and rationalizations that you, as the person doing that, sort of are telling yourself as to why it's not so bad, or why it's going to be okay, or why actually this talked about it in this way. And then it's like, I remember that moment, it all just kind of like fell down, where I totally could see how devastated and just completely traumatized you were. And then it was just like, oh, everything changed for me as well. I'm like, oh no, this is like I've been hurting this person that I love this whole time.
You didn't realize until then?
Well, you know, but then there's other things you tell yourself to kind of sort of compartmentalize, or I guess.
Good God, can we get like a Family Guy cutaway or something?
Way to keep it surface level there, Ned. That's not what she was asking, and he purposely dodges these questions the entire hour, which sort of begs the question, why are we even doing this? Maybe this is Ariel sort of just wanting to embarrass Ned, and you know what? Hell yeah. That's good enough reason for me. But if it's actually for the reasons that they said it was for, I don't really think we're accomplishing that. Honestly. I'm just like tearing up thinking about it.
How does it make you feel to hear that? I mean, did it ever occur to you that like not only did you having an affair just it shattered our marriage, but it also, like, all of that guilt and shame, you like hoisted that on me. Like, you gave that to me. And now I have to carry that around for the rest of my life.
I don't think it's fair that as a society you're put in that position.
Like, look, Don't get me wrong. Obviously, these two are free to do whatever they want. But I'm also free to have an opinion. And based off the beginning of this podcast, what they said, like, this is what they were planning to do, like what the episode's for, turning over a new leaf, setting things straight, kind of setting all of this behind them. I don't think this is very conductive to that. At the beginning of this podcast, they were talking about how they can't even meet new people now because people care too much. Like, no one gives a flying fuck. Why is this podcast being made? Like, genuinely, I don't get it. Like, unless I'm crazy. It's 3 a.m. and I've been recording this for hours. So maybe I'm just imagining something, but I'm pretty sure I included it in the bit where they're just like, oh, I can't meet new people because they're going to Google them, Google me, and they're going to see their social media, and they're going to see the scandal, and it's going to be a whole thing. But I just don't know. Yeah. I feel like every time they give a reason for this podcast, 20 minutes later, it just goes out the window. I just imagine... I feel like there's a much cleaner way to do this where you make an Instagram post or just like a 2-minute long YouTube video where like, hey, we're moving on. This is what our relationship looks like now. This is how we feel. This is what's going on in our lives. We're like platonic partners. We have children together.
I'm like tearing up just thinking about it. We were just kids. And it's like, it really was a fantasy. And I just think, how could you do that to me? Like, who are you?
I'm sorry, but I don't really think anybody cared about this all too much 3 years later. You know, a great way to get people talking about your divorce and your cheating scandal again is make a podcast about it. And I'm not saying that's their goal with this. I doubt it is. Like, it doesn't really make that much sense to me. I understand that Ariel probably did this to like tell her side of the story because she hasn't really had a platform to do that yet. But I just don't understand the goal here. Like, when did things start
to feel a little more safe for you?
I think as I just got more comfortable talking to people about like what happened, and they just seem to not care.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it just wasn't a big deal.
It is kind of funny. It's like the whole, internet and people making TikToks seem to care so much. And then you meet anyone in real life and it's like everyone has some way to relate to some sort of a cheating story.
Just like all the parents at Wes's school, or, they're like, either they don't know or they don't give a flying fuck. They're like, yeah, who cares? They're like, it's one of many scandals. Like, also, it was 3 years ago. Like, get over yourself.
Okay, so I'm not...
I think that there's sort of a delusion or rationalizations being made about why, as a person, you're doing all of this and telling yourself that, oh, it's not that bad, or it's gonna be all right, okay. And like, why is being talked about it in this kind of way? Good God, can we get a Family Guy cutaway or something? My lord, this seems like a punishment for the audience more than it is for Ned. I'm in physical pain watching this. And Ned, what the hell is coming out of your mouth, man? When you were cheating on your wife, you didn't realize you were hurting her? Did you just fall off the dump truck for collecting the trash yesterday? Like, what the fuck can that actually possibly mean? Have you ever spoken to a human?
A world where I can just be myself and not have this thing following me around, where I don't have to, where maybe we are at a restaurant with our kids and I don't have to feel shame because I'm, having fun.
Right.
Where people are like, oh my God, are they back together?
Right.
Just because I'm like having a joyful time with my kids and my ex-husband.
Life is weird sometimes.
Yes, like we travel together. It's we have a familial relationship.
Yeah. It's we've like redefined our relationship, not as partners that are romantic partners.
Yeah.
Those sort of like, family or platonic partners. And pals, if you want to say pals.
It sort of feels like everything they're claiming they want to happen and is not. It's because of this podcast episode. Like the way they went about it is definitely producing the opposite effect. So at the end of the day, obviously, is their choice on what they want to do with the situation. But like what I mean is that this is absolutely the worst thing they could have done if they really wanted to leave this behind and start a new chapter. Like I've been saying, I don't think anybody should be really concerned about this or talking about this. And now that's going to change. It really has because I don't know. I'm just confused. Hopefully I'm wrong, but based off the manner I've seen these people talk about it on the internet, I don't think I am. Well, guys, what are your thoughts? Like what I've been saying, I don't really understand why this podcast was made. Maybe not the podcast itself, but like this specific episode. It just really feels like it's sort of backwards.